Yeah, I don't think we ever imagined ourselves to be like the Ozark people, but if you're gonna manufacture playcrafts, what better lake to be at is than Lake of the Ozarks.
I'm Chris Nelson. We just purchased Playcraft Boats. It's my wife, Leslie. I retired from banking yesterday. We closed on the factory yesterday, and we will be going to work today here. We just sent a boat out the back door just today. Today is
January 3rd,
January 3rd.
2026.
I'm from Pontoon, Missouri, which is just south of St. Louis. Graduated high school there. I left and went into the Navy from 91 until 96. I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where I met Leslie. We moved home to start our family in 97. I worked construction until 2003, and at that point I actually jumped out of a pontoon boat and tore every ligament in my knee. So I had 6 surgeries later, and while I was going through my surgeries, I went to school. I got a banking degree. I started work at a community bank. I've been in banking for 18 years. At the most recent bank that I just retired from I was there for 13 years, and then we bought this business.
I'm originally from Minnesota, graduated college and moved to Florida. Met Chris. Chris told me how great Missouri was. So I fell into that trap. It's been a good life. I can't say that I regret it. First couple years were tough, but I figured it out. And then I did medical transcription for a while and worked from home. Actually, after we have 2 kids, a daughter and a son, got into insurance. Took the test, got my license, and have been in insurance for, I guess, 9 years total now. And so I had a Farmers Nelson agency in Farmington and moving it down here to Richland. So I'll continue to do insurance, but still have a little hand in boat manufacturing and Playcraft Boats. It's gonna be exciting.
We are boat enthusiasts. I've had a boat my whole life. I was raised in a family that had a boat. We lived in a lake community. I had a boat when I was in the Navy. Leslie and I got home, and a few years later we bought our first boat. We've had 3 Playcrafts now. What started this is at the shootout this past year, I went to talk to Carolyn about building us a new boat. After talking to her, talking to John Odom, realizing that the factory was for sale, Leslie and I went home and we made a list of what would have to happen for us to buy Playcraft. And we had a list of about 20 different things on there, and a lot of them were pretty far-fetched. We got about 3/4 of the way down the list, and Leslie's like, oh my goodness, we're gonna buy a boat company.
Everything started falling in line, I guess, and things got real, a little scary, but here we are.
So how long ago did that happen when you really kind of jumped over the line? So the line originally was, this is pretty far-fetched, it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
And then at some point, there was a turning point.
There was, and it would have had to have been
It was a couple months ago.
probably the middle of September, I think, is when it got really real that it was going to happen.
Yeah, and I think we came down here and met with Carolyn Doris.
So this started at the end of August. Holy cow, that happened fast.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, one day you're sitting in your insurance office just working, and then the next day you're getting ready to move your whole life and run a boat company. We came down a couple of times and met with Carolyn. I mean, and we sat right here for hours, just conversation with her, just talking to her about things and knowing what she wanted to happen with the company. And I think that was our big part, is we wanted to continue Jim's legacy. It means a lot to her and it means a lot to us.
When we first had our discussion and made the offer for the company, I think Carolyn asked where we were going to live at, and I said, we'll probably live in a camper out here in the parking lot for the first 6 months. And I think that's what really made her decide that we were serious about this and we were going to move everything and come here and make this factory work.
Were you Lake of the Ozarks before that?
We were not. We had a place at Table Rock Lake.
Oh, enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at Table Rock Lake for probably about 15 years. Once our kids graduated from college and they moved on out of state, each one of them, we actually sold our house there so we could spend more time going to see them rather than running back and forth to the lake. It was about 4 hours away from home. It's going to be a little different. It's a change. Our Lake of the Ozarks is a lot more action-packed. There's a lot more to do. There's a lot more people to see. There's a lot more lake to cover. Table Rock is very laid back. There are getting to be some more people. Actually, we're members of the Table Rock Powerboat Club. We were on the initial Table Rock Lake poker run for the Powerboat Club. We were sponsors for that for many years. We're still active. We'll be there again this year with the Playcraft running
we'll
in the...
just be owners of Playcraft and really promote Playcraft on Table Rock Lake.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we ever imagined ourselves to be Lake of the Ozark people, but if you're gonna manufacture Playcrafts, what better lake to be at is than Lake of the Ozark? That's what Jim wanted. That's what they were built for. We're gonna learn to boat Lake of the Ozarks.
We ordered our first new Playcraft in 2016. We ordered it in October. There was an issue of some sort. March, John said the boat's not gonna be done until June.
We weren't going to go a summer without
We weren't going to go a summer without a boat, so we bought a twin 329-foot power tuning scream from Cove to Coast Marine in South Carolina and had it shipped to our house. It arrived on Easter Sunday of 2017 is when we got it. That was our first Playcraft. Then we had actually ordered a powerboat from a company in California and sold that Playcraft while that boat was being made. And then that boat had production problems. So then we bought a 28-foot single engine 300 Playcraft and had that boat until we sold our lake house. And then we sold that boat in 24 to a gentleman in Iowa. That boat came from Lake of the Ozarks and is back on Lake of the Ozarks right now with the person that owns it. So actually we've only really owned 2 Playcrafts.
We ordered one.
We started buying 3, but we've only had 2.
So now, instead of having to order boats from somebody else, we can run our own fate now. And
we're the only ones we can complain to.
You'll probably find that you take a back seat.
Yeah, maybe,
I'm sure we
maybe
will.
by the time it's all said and done, we will have a brand new boat one day.
Yeah, maybe. We have...
Never ended up building one yourself.
No. We have a Scarab center console that's in our garage at home that'll always be Old Faithful. So we'll keep it. If we don't have a Playcraft because we've sold them all, then we'll be on that boat.
Our daughter moved to Florida, so we started boating in Florida and had a center console.
Then she selfishly moved to Iowa City.
I don't know why you even went.
Yeah, I don't know either.
We've heard everything from the company shutting down, the company's going bankrupt, that they'll no longer produce boats. That's not going to happen. We are here. We have invested everything into this to make sure that it does succeed. Literally, you can look at our logo, leave it all behind, and we have left it all behind to start over here. We are a custom boat factory. You know, as Carolyn said, that's what we make. That's our bread and butter. There are some very popular models that people buy all the time, and we are going to build at least 2 boats a month of those models just in case there's not an order. If there's a new order that comes in, it'll take place of that. But we are going to build those boats so they're readily available for people to purchase.
And that is also partially to keep people employed.
Exactly, yes. We've talked to the plant manager and he's like, every Thursday we've been worried that we're going to get that call at 4:45 that they'll come back Monday. And that's not going to happen. We're here to ensure that.
So the company used to be multiple lines of boats, styles of boats. That's not in the immediate plans, correct?
Correct. We are going to focus on Playcraft right now, and we're going to get Playcraft going the right direction. We will still have all the models. We'll have the Clipper, the Sunfish, the Infinity Extreme, the Powertoon Extreme, and then we'll have the Legacy model. So we will still make all models of the Playcraft for right now. And once that gets in the right direction and is running properly, then we're focusing on Charger. And then we will get Charger going at that point.
Okay, so there are plans to reignite a fishing boat.
There are plans. There's at least a dozen people that would love for us to have a boat made today for them. Charger boats, yes.
If you had to estimate a time frame on that.
I would love to say we will have a brand new Charger by the 1st of 27. We never want to be an assembly line company. We're going to stay hand-built company, custom-made company. There was a point where this company made 17 boats a week. I don't see us doing that in the near future. I would be very, very happy if we were building 100 boats a year. That would be plenty. That'll keep our focus on quality, and I think we can manage that very well.
Is it something that you would actually even curb growth if growth happened?
To maintain integrity of the company and the quality, yes.
So would that just mean that production times would be slower? Like if somebody, let's just say you get 200 orders.
We can build a boat in less than 45 days. We're going to tell everybody 45 days because I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver. With the staff that we have right now, we can start a new boat a week if we need to. There'd be about 45-day lead time for the first custom boat. We already have 3 boats in process right now. Our first boat that's ours will come out of the factory in 2 weeks. And then the next boat will be about a month after that. They can expect to see more boats on the water. They can expect to see performance. They can expect to see innovation. Innovation is something Jim was big. That was the heart and soul of this company, and we're going to maintain that. We're going to innovate. We're going to do things. We have something that we're working on this second boat that's the first time it's ever been done on a Playcraft. We'll have to fill you in on that later. We're going to have ownership throughout the plant. They're going to have buy-in with us also. They're going to have a say in what we do and what we build. Their ideas too. Nothing's going to be discounted. I didn't answer the question.
Well, I think mainly just that was one of Jim's things is he always, like Carolyn said, he was an innovator, and I think that's what made it so successful is because he made it better every time. I think that's our goal as well. I mean, it's already a really good boat, but what can we do to make it even better? So I think just to continue along those lines of what can we do to improve it and make it even better, and Carolyn wants a boat to go faster, then we'll give her a boat to go faster.
So the plan is to continue to produce boats for the ship?
Yes, that's right. That's one of the things I told Carolyn is we'll always have a boat for her to run as long as she wants to run it. Well, you always want to be the fastest. Currently, Playcraft is not. John and I have been talking about a boat that could be the fastest. We've got an engineer coming in a couple weeks. We've got Mercury coming in a couple weeks, and we're going to see what we can do. We were hoping. I told Leslie about my idea. I said, listen, this is the boat we want to build. And Leslie said, well, that would say we're back. Probably John. I'm more of an anchor. I'm a little heavier than, you don't want me for the jockey on the horse, that's for sure.
I guess I need to put my name.
Jockey. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, maybe Carolyn wants to drive it. Yes, it would. We're not planning on changing anything for Playcraft. We may innovate, we may make another line in the future, but I think there's something to be said about the Playcraft and the way it looks, the way it feels. It does have an older school pontoon boat look. I'm okay with that. There's a lot of people who spend a lot of money on a patina car. There's a lot of people that still like that look. We'll get new graphics packages, of course. There'll be some changing in the rails, but all in all, the extreme will always be there. Carolyn had already started working on some new interior. There's some new vinyl and cushion packages that are already in works. They're going to be very, very nice. There is
a plusher.
Yeah, it's a more plush interior. We're working with one of the local stereo producers in town to have a package from them that's standard in the boat. What we have Mercury coming in 2 weeks to help us set up joystick controls, so which will be the first joysticks on a Playcraft. So they haven't been done before. So that'll be our second boat. It'll be a twin 400 boat.
You are also making a commitment to the growing market.
Yes, correct. I think the last Facebook post for the prior Playcraft page was in 2023. So we are going to market a lot more. You're going to see us a lot more. We are going to be at a lot of functions. We have our first boat show in Kansas City, January 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. We're planning on going to Fort Wayne, Indiana, February 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah.
Then the end of February will be Overland Park, Kansas, we're going to go to.
In March is St. Charles.
March is St. Charles, and the end of March will be Toon Fest in Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
And then the in-water boat shows, I assume?
Yes, there's one on the water at Dog Days in April that we'll be at. I think Table Rock has an in-the-water boat show we'll go to.
So you'll be going to other lakes as well?
Yes, we will.
So besides Table Rock, Havasu, anything else come to mind?
We'll be in Kentucky Lake, probably for the Cannonball Run, if we can get there for that. We'll be at the Shootout. We'll be at that poker run here. In August, we can go anywhere we can go.
Really, anytime you can get involved.
Anytime we can go.
Toon poker runs.
Yes.
Which there was a first one this year. It was in, I think, September.
Yes.
Maybe Playcraft can play a hand
Mhm.
making that bigger and better.
I think I did see a Facebook post from Captain Ron's that they're going to have the world's largest pontoon party in May. So we will be there for that.
Try to be involved as much as we can.
Pontoons have become almost like there's so many different manufacturers now, so many different brands. What makes Playcraft different?
Probably the custom.
The custom part of Playcraft, the handmade portion of Playcraft, we roll our pontoons out from a sheet in the factory. Nothing is purchased that's pre-made as far as our pontoons. Everything's fabricated. I think there might be 4 pontoon companies that are privately owned. That's one of the big ones. We're going to have that personal contact with every one of our customers.
Now, in terms of the look and style of the boat, describe that to somebody who's not very familiar with Playcraft.
How do you describe the look of it?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just show them the pictures of them?
Sporty.
Yeah.
I mean, I was turned on to it because it was like I get a wakeboard tower. It was the first one to do that.
Right.
Just the colors, they're not the typical bland colors
Right.
of most boats.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably, it's more of a sportier pontoon than your family pontoon.
Sure.
When you see a Playcraft, you definitely know that it's a performance boat. Even though it's a pontoon boat, it is a performance boat.
Yeah. Well, and I say it's not your family pontoon, but it is.
It is.
I mean,
It is a family pontoon.
It's a family
still.
pontoon when you want it to be a family pontoon, but then it can be a go-getter. And let's get to that restaurant
Yeah, it's like Jim
in 10
said.
minutes.
I want the comfort of the pontoon, but I want the speed that
Right. We took our last twin-engine pontoon to a poker run on Old Hickory Lake in Tennessee. We pulled out of the cove after the poker run, and I remember a guy saying, "That's probably the coolest boat on this lake."
It was a Playcraft.
What's next in the immediate future?
These first early boat shows, definitely getting our boats on the water.
Just getting everybody to know that Playcraft is, here we come.
It's back. You know, most of the people you'll see driving a new Playcraft is someone that's just left the performance boat world. They're starting to have a family. Their children are having children, so they've got grandkids. They've just left the Eliminator or the Cigarette or the MTI. Or maybe they still have that, but they want that performance boat also to accompany that other boat. That's right. They want that performance pontoon.
And they can pick their colors to have it match the...
That's exactly right. They can match their other boat.
That's one of the things that makes Playcraft unique is you have the ability to do it. Sky's the limit.
You know, if you look around, there are some Playcrafts, mainly out west, that the paneling is on the outside of the rails, not on the inside. So then it looks like a solid side going down the side of it, and they'll use a vinyl wrap down it. And those accompany different faster boats. You know, there's the spooled up boat.
Yeah, just the fact that there are a lot of pontoons that match the speed boats.
So it's a complementary.
Yes.
And then they probably find themselves actually taking that boat out more.
Yeah.
Because you can fit more people.
There's at least 3 or 4 matching sets of a performance boat and a Playcraft.
So that might be another envision that
Yeah.
we kind of, it would be nice to make a boat to match somebody else's boat.
Showcase that. Should probably find the ones that currently exist and make sure
Right.
get their permission to say, can we
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
showcase this?
We can do that.
Or even just the
That'll
owners.
inspire ideas for people to be like, that's a great idea.
Right.
We should do that.
Yeah.
Especially here, because so many people have 3 slips and
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
exactly what they have. They got the Go Faster, the Cruiser, they got the Bass, they got the Pontoon, they
Right.
got the
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be the new way. Everybody's going to need a Playcraft to match their speedboat.
might be onto something.
As a Lake of the Ozarker, if you can't get behind this, you're un-American or maybe un-Missourian. Playcraft as a company has a rich local tradition, an incredible story. And some of our fellow Missourians have decided to not only buy this company, but pick up and move from their long-term home and make their home the Lake of the Ozarks area and keeping this company local to Richland, Missouri. It's a true feel-good story, and I couldn't be rooting for them any harder. Whether you are a Playcraft boater or not, go show Chris and Leslie support by following their Playcraft socials at whichever platform you prefer. Engage with them, share their content, and let's root for them on as they work towards bringing Playcraft back to its rightful place as one of the premier innovators in the Tritoon boating world. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel and don't keep us a secret. Share this with your LOTO loving friends. See you on the next one.